The renowned Korean shaman, Hwa-rim, and her protégé, Bong-gil, are approached by a wealthy Korean-American family, who is desperate to uncover the cause of their newborn son's mysterious illness. The family is seated in a grand yet somber living room, their eyes full of worry, as Hwa-rim examines the child. His face is feverish, his tiny fists clenched, and he emits an incessant, heart-wrenching cry. Hwa-rim observes the scene in silence, her expression growing serious as she senses an unnatural presence around the child. After a moment, she turns to the family patriarch, Park Ji-yong. She explains that the illness is not medical but spiritual, a dark curse, specifically a grave's call. This curse, she reveals, is the lingering wrath of an ancestor's spirit haunting the child. Ji-yong listens, his face tense but resolute. He makes a swift decision and offers Hwa-rim a significant sum of money to remove the curse. He asks her to relocate the ancestor's grave, his grandfather's, to pacify the spirit and save his son. Knowing the scale of the task ahead, Hwa-rim seeks out Kim Sang-deok, a master of Feng shui. Sang-deok is a seasoned professional, experienced in advising the wealthy on burial sites that best channel positive energy. In his modest shop, he listens intently as Hwa-rim describes the curse and Ji-yong's request. Although tempted by the prospect of a substantial payment, Sang-deok grows wary when Hwa-rim mentions Ji-yong's insistence on cremating the grave. The grave, Hwa-rim explains, is located in a remote mountain near the North Korean border. The location alone is ominous, but Sang-deok's instincts warn him that the energy tied to this grave is far from ordinary. He hesitates, his intuition guiding him to decline. However, Hwa-rim assures him that her protective rituals will prevent any harm during the excavation. Reluctantly, Sang-deok agrees to complete their team, fully aware of the risks yet willing to proceed for the promise of payment. Arriving at the site, the team meets Park Ji-yong one last time before the work begins. He reveals that the grave location had been designated by a well-known monk named Go-eun, a figure with rumored mystical abilities. The information raises concerns for Sang-deok, who understands the implications of powerful spiritual influences on burial sites. Hwa-rim and Bong-gil begin the ritual, carefully initiating the spiritual protections needed before breaking ground. With the protective rites complete, they cautiously instruct the workers to start digging, taking every precaution not to disturb the dormant spirit. During the excavation, one of the workers accidentally severs the head of a snake with a human-like face, sending a collective shiver through the team. Hwa-rim and Sang-deok share a grim look, recognizing the omen for what it is, a bad sign, a warning that the forces within this grave are not to be taken lightly. As rain begins to fall, Yeong-geun suggests that they cremate the coffin after the storm passes to contain any malevolent energy that may arise. To shield it from the elements, they move the coffin to a nearby ward. But curiosity proves dangerous. The local custodian, perhaps unaware of the supernatural forces at play, opens the coffin. The air grows cold, and with an unseen, chilling force, a spirit emerges, a vengeful entity, the spirit of Ji-yong's grandfather, released from its confinement. The spirit, furious and unsatisfied, immediately seeks out its bloodline, unleashing its wrath upon Ji-yong's parents, and ultimately killing Ji-yong himself. As the spirit wreaks havoc, its motivations begin to surface. Ji-yong's grandfather, it is revealed, was a Japanese loyalist during the occupation of Korea, a man whose betrayal of his homeland ran so deep that even death could not bring him peace. His spirit, bound by anger and resentment, lashes out, seeking vengeance on his own bloodline for their failure to honor and preserve his legacy. Just as the spirit draws near the vulnerable newborn, Sang-deok seizes his chance. Despite the growing danger, he moves quickly to cremate the coffin, hoping to sever the connection between the spirit and the living world. As the flames consume the coffin, the curse is broken, and the malevolent force dissipates, sparing the child and ending the immediate threat to Ji-yong's family. Months later, peace proves fleeting. Yeong-geun contacts Sang-deok, sharing disturbing news about the gravedigger who killed the human-headed snake. The man, plagued by nightmares and strange visions, has been haunted ever since. Alarmed, Sang-deok revisits the original gravesite, suspecting that something sinister may still linger. Upon arriving, he uncovers an unusual burial arrangement, a disembodied head of an Anna, a female spirit, and a separate, standing coffin placed alongside it. The implications are clear. Another powerful spirit, a darker force, has been tied to this site. Recognizing the need for further action, Sang-deok enlists Hwa-rim, Bong-gil, and Yeong-geun once more to help him investigate and dispose of the ominous coffin. As they dig, the team decides to rest at a nearby temple overnight, using the temporary sanctuary to regroup. Hwa-rim uncovers more about the mysterious Go-eun monk, a figure with deep ties to Japan, suggesting that the roots of the curse may be far older and more profound than they initially suspected. Later that night, Bong-gil experiences a strange dream, a vision filled with supernatural imagery. He awakes in a cold sweat, only to witness a towering, 7-foot figure stalking the grounds. The figure, an ancient spirit, begins to attack both people and animals, moving with an eerie, almost mechanical precision. In the midst of the chaos, the team discovers that the coffin, which had been securely sealed, is now torn open from within. The creature, revealed to be a 7-foot samurai resurrected from the grave, emerges with deadly intent. Bong-gil bravely steps forward to protect Hwa-rim, but the creature stabs him, leaving him severely wounded. Before their eyes, the spirit transforms into a ball of fire and retreats toward the mountain, leaving them shaken and desperate for answers. While Bong-gil undergoes surgery for his severe injuries, Hwa-rim waits in the hospital alongside Sang-deok. She shares an important theory in shamanism. While souls are fragmentary and lack physical strength, meaning they typically cannot dominate living humans, this entity they face is no ordinary spirit. She explains that this creature is an anima, something far more formidable. Anima arises when a soul, human or animal, evolves and binds with an object, merging spiritual power with physical substance. She admits she couldn't sense anything from the anima, which confirms its unnatural power and the reason it defies usual spiritual constraints. Intrigued yet unsettled, Sang-deok decides to investigate further, and leaves to conduct his own search for clues. Meanwhile, Hwa-rim remains in the hospital, preparing a ritual to gain more information directly from the spirit realm. In the quiet of the hospital room, Hwa-rim and her shamanic sisters begin a ritual, summoning a familiar Japanese ghost they had previously used. When the ghost arrives, they ask it about the anima's location. In a low, fragmented voice, it reveals coordinates, pointing to the graveyard where the anima rests. Meanwhile, Sang-deok pursues his own investigation. He discovers that Ji-yong's grandfather, who had collaborated with the Japanese occupiers, worked with the Japanese monk Gisen, Murayama Junji, to secure Japan's influence on Korean soil by embedding a cursed iron stake in a hidden grave. This iron stake served as a spiritual anchor, intended to hold Japan's power over the land, with Ji-yong's grandfather's grave concealing it to deter Korean patriots from disturbing the site. Through his findings, Sang-deok realizes that the iron stake is central to the curse, empowering the anima as its fierce guardian. To break this curse and release Bong-gil from the anima's hold, they must locate and remove the iron stake, severing the anima's connection to both the land and Bong-gil's soul. With Bong-gil still recovering in the hospital, his soul bound by the anima's grip, the rest of the team regroups. Sang-deok expresses his determination to end the curse, insisting on the need to protect future generations. Although Yeong-geun hesitates, wary of the dangers they've already endured, Sang-deok's conviction is clear. They must sever the curse that binds Bong-gil and threatens the land that their children and descendants will inherit. Hwa-rim also supports this decision, knowing that only by defeating the anima can they free Bong-gil from its hold. To counter the supernatural strength of the anima, Sang-deok prepares the team with ritual supplies. Despite the risks, this act will grant their land and Bong-gil a chance at freedom. Under the cover of night, Hwa-rim, Sang-deok, and Yeong-geun arrive at the base of the mountain, carrying supplies and sacred tools for the final confrontation. They plan to draw the anima toward an ancient tree, which Hwa-rim has chosen as a focal point. She prepares to pose as the mountain's guardian spirit, hoping this will buy them enough time to locate and extract the cursed iron stake that binds the anima to the site. Hwa-rim lures the anima to the tree, using ritual fish offerings to draw its attention, and takes on the posture and spirit of the tree god. For a moment, the anima seems confused, addressing her as though she truly were the mountain's protector, demanding to know why she interferes. Hwa-rim holds her stance, buying Sang-deok and Yeong-geun precious minutes to dig for the iron stake. However, the anima soon realizes the ruse. Angered by the deception, it turns its wrath on Hwa-rim, moving in to strike her down. Just as it closes in, Hwa-rim's spiritual grandmother appears, shielding her. Taking this chance, Yeong-geun rushes to Hwa-rim's side to warn her they have found no iron stake in the burial ground. Meanwhile, Sang-deok, refusing to give up, continues to dig desperately, aware that without the stake, the anima's curse cannot be lifted. At that moment, the anima shifts, reappearing beside Sang-deok, its wrath fully unleashed. The anima stands before Sang-deok, intent on taking his liver, whispering in a chilling tone. At this critical moment, Hwa-rim and Yeong-geun make a desperate move, splashing fresh white horse blood onto the anima. The blood burns it temporarily, causing it to recoil in agony. Taking this brief opportunity, they rush to Sang-deok's side, attempting to pull him to safety. But the anima quickly regains its strength, seizing both Hwa-rim and Yeong-geun by the neck, its grip cold and unyielding. In this moment of crisis, Hwa-rim experiences a sudden vision, a glimpse into the anima's origin. She sees the cursed object used to fuse its spirit, a burning sword embedded deep within its form, fueling its violent energy. Meanwhile, Sang-deok, weakened but resolute, realizes the anima's core power lies in its burning metal essence. Remembering that wet wood can counter burning metal in elemental theory, he presses his blood-soaked hand to a wooden branch nearby, drawing on every remaining ounce of his strength. With one final, determined strike, he drives the blood-wetted wood into the anima's core, severing the cursed energy within it. The anima lets out an agonizing wail as its power dissipates, its hold over the land and Bong-gil finally broken. In the weeks that follow, Sang-deok's injuries gradually heal. As he reflects on the battle, he is grateful for the strength that came from his conviction to protect future generations. Meanwhile, Bong-gil recovers slowly, regaining both his spirit and his health as the anima's shadow lifts from him. For Hwa-rim, the ordeal has strengthened her bond with her spiritual lineage and reaffirmed her purpose as a shaman. Months later, Sang-deok invites Hwa-rim, Yeong-geun, and Bong-gil to a family gathering, his daughter's wedding. As they gather under the warm sun, surrounded by friends and family, they share quiet smiles, aware that this peace was hard-earned. The battle is behind them,